everyone, and welcome to Mary Elizabeth Jones's Variety Hour.
Yay!
With
my second favorite show.
with
right after reruns of My Mother the Car. It's this. Now, my name is Kaye Lazar. How you doing?
Good. He's my usual guest host.
Yeah,
so.
guest. No, I'm the guest star.
Guest star, yes.
You're the host.
Excuse me, I'm
guest
the
host.
host. Yes.
This show isn't big enough for two hosts. They always say, yeah. So it's we're well into January. And,
yes.
And I was just talking. We always have a little discussion and always have something to drink. A hot toddy right now. Yeah. I just love this strawberry quick. It's really good. It's so good. Speaking of drinks, actually this is hot. What is this?
Hot cocoa.
Hot cocoa. I was right. I was almost right.
By Swiss Miss.
What?
Swiss Miss.
Swiss Miss.
Yes, it's a good brand.
Imported from Switzerland.
Yes.
It's really nice.
Yes.
And why are we drinking out of these? The evil empire. It used to be coffee was only 10 cents. Now it's about $6. Thanks to Howard Schultz. Now, anyway, so I'm not going to advertise for them. You have to be really not a genius to figure out where this comes from. All right, now, okay. So, what is your favorite type of well, I mean, is this what you drink to keep warm and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
That and coffee or tea. So.
Tea. Okay.
I like all three of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care for tea. Not a tea man. I used to live in Ireland, and they drink tea all the time. So let me tell you about tea and coffee. Okay, tea is very popular there.
Yes.
Tea is kind of an easy drink to make because you don't even need a machine or anything. They talk about instant coffee. Pretty much all tea is instant, really.
Yeah.
You just dunk the tea leaves from a bag, or even just dump it. You don't even need a bag; just throw them in there, throw it in the pot. So then you brew the tea and all this stuff. And they taught me how to brew tea because I usually had to make some for my grandmother and stuff. Wow. So anyway, I did not know anything about tea, and I was you Americans don't know anything about tea. Yeah, we don't know anything about tea.
Right.
But you drink it with ice. I said, yes, we do. Oh boy. We're going to teach you Americans something, and I'm still learning. I should be the smartest man in the world with all the teachers and relatives and siblings and bosses and gym coaches.
Right.
Everywhere I go, I lecture. I'm like truly educated. All the lectures I get. I must be the smartest man in the world. Put me on Jeopardy. So, what was my point? Anyway, so all this tea. And I'm drinking all this tea, because it's so cold there. It's so damp and everything. So I'm trying to keep warm all the time. So tea is, you go to someone's house to make you tea. Right. And if you insist on coffee, or they say, would you like coffee? Of course, they usually give you tea, but they'd be a light coffee. So yes, I'll have some coffee. So they bring out it was this instant coffee.
Yeah.
To them, that's coffee.
Mm-hmm.
You put the powdered coffee in and stirred with hot water and everything.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, as bad as instant coffee is, it was to me in my palate tasted 10 times better than the best tea. That was the old joke. This is the worst coffee I've ever had in my life. It's tea.
Lord.
Well, it's not bad for tea.
Right.
Also, but there was even something even worse than coffee or tea. You only see it outside of America. You don't really see a whole lot in America. It's called chicory. You ever heard of chicory? It's I think it came out during World War II when they couldn't get tea or coffee or anything. It was this fake coffee.
Oh.
And it tasted awful. I mean, it does. It's. I tell you what the problem with coffee. is that coffee doesn't really have to taste all that great. It's all fine if it tastes great, but it has coffee is has an effect on you. It keeps you awake. Tea is sort of that way too.
Right.
In China and India, they don't even think of tea as a breakfast drink.
Right.
They think of it as a medicine of some sort.
Yeah.
But coffee is, keeps you awake. But this stuff didn't. Basically, this stuff was hot water that kind of tasted like coffee. There was Danny Thomas. You know Danny Thomas?
Yes.
Danny Thomas of the St. Jude's Hospital fame and of the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
He used to do these commercials for Sanka coffee. You know what Sanka is?
Oh yeah.
It's a decaffeinated coffee.
I haven't seen that in years.
Yeah, well. Once they fired Danny Thomas, all right? He did it for like 20 years. These ads for Sanka. Try the decaffeinated coffee. It's so good. Better than it won't keep you up at night. That's the whole point. I like to stay up at night.
Right.
So, or in the case of Dana, try the Sanka coffee. It's really good. I know I sound like Danny Thomas.
Yeah.
But so anyway, they fired him because he was too old, and they wanted a younger demographic for their ads. So he immediately and he was doing these ads for like 20 years. He immediately threw a press conference, says, "I've never liked Sanka. I don't drink Sanka. I have to drink real coffee."
Wow, that is...
Take that, So I don't think there was any donations to St. Jude's Hospital from Sanka after that. Or Nestle, or whoever makes Sanka. I don't know who makes Sanka.
Yeah.
So, all these shows I used to watch as a kid, like the Danny Thomas show. You remember that? Danny Thomas show, that show? And but I remember the one show that I really loved growing up was the Partridge Family.
Yeah.
It was just so exciting, that show. There was no other show like that. With a family like yours and mine.
Right.
That are traveling around the country playing rock and roll music. And then Keith and Laurie Partridge was in it, and Danny.
Tracy and Chris.
Well, and now also Tracy and Chris. Now tell me about did you watch this Partridge Fan? Did you like it?
Yeah. They used to have repeats. I didn't, it didn't come out when I was a kid, but in my time. But I used to watch the episodes that were repeats and stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of got into that. So
yeah.
And then what's really funny is I heard something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That was Susan Day's first acting career.
Yeah, she was like, I guess, 16 years old when she started.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she didn't have much. I don't even know. I don't know anything about Susan Day before. You watch Danny.
Yeah.
You actually will see some shows with Danny on at Disney, Wonderful World of Disney shows.
Right.
David Cassidy, of course, was the son of Jack Cassidy.
Jack Cassidy
and the stepson
of Shirley Jones.
Of Shirley Jones, who was his mother on the show.
Yes.
And she might have been cast first.
Yeah.
Because she was this big time actress. She won an Oscar. And she was in Oklahoma, of course. Very,
And another thing that was interesting about that is she was shocked that her stepson was playing in the show too.
Exactly. That's the point I was going to make. I'm glad you mentioned. I think she. You don't want to work with your family. You see enough of your family.
Yeah.
I tell you what's great about your family. You work all day or go to school all day, and then you come home and there's your family. But can you imagine going to work, going to school, and have your mom right there saying, "Be sure to eat your vegetables. Be sure you do your homework."
Yeah, I heard that. She's like, "What are you doing here?" And then he was like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah,
like they could kind of like compete or something.
I know. Oh yeah. Well, in a way, they kind of did because, as it turned out, on the Partridge Family, it was all about a rock and roll band. Of course, that was a family. They're based on the Cowsills,
right?
Who had one hit that was the theme to Hair.
Yeah.
Maybe a few hits. I don't know. I only know the Cowsills from the one song. But but the Cowsills it was based on them.
Oh, I did not know that.
And the Partridge Family was it was really wild. It was all, the music was very good. It was written for the show. It was all original music.
Yeah.
And David Cassidy was singing. He evidently had a pretty. I mean, at that time they thought, oh, he could sing too. We just hired you to act, and your mom's going to do all the singing, and because I could sing, and he started, and then pretty much they're the only two people singing. The others are all actors. They're not. They're not even playing.
Syncing.
They're just lip syncing,
Yeah.
and not only they lip sync, they're lip playing. Whatever they get, they're play syncing, I guess is the word.
Yeah.
And so and all these, now that the internet and history's gone by, we had so many urban legends about the Partridge Family. One was that they didn't sing, but they did play their instruments. As it turned out, they didn't play their instruments. The other thing was the songs we thought were very hard-edged rock and roll songs, but basically they were top 40 bubble gum type music.
Right.
And I found out in retrospect that his favorite type of music, David Cassidy, was kind of hard-edged, like the Eagles, I guess, or like Jimi Hendrix or people like that. And he wanted to perform that on the Partridge. Says the little kids that watch your show don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
It's still a great show for kids.
Yeah.
And what else got that? Tell me about Susan Day.
Yes. She didn't have any acting experience before she came to the Partridge Family.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she made it big since she was in the Partridge Family.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, she was a model and everything.
Yeah.
She used to be a model.
But no acting.
No acting, but she was.
And she was pretty good
I
acting.
think she was
for the part, she was actually pretty good.
Right. Yeah.
But that kid, that Danny
Bond,
he was so good.
Yeah.
I mean, there was never
funny.
a kid. No, but there was never a kid like that before in a show. He had a smart mouth on him, a big head of red hair.
Yeah.
Even though we watched it on a black and white set, but
Yeah.
I saw photos in the magazines. He had red hair.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what else about Danny didn't sing. Danny tried a career as a singer, like his post Partridge career. He's had careers where he tried to sing, but it didn't really.
He works on talk radio now.
Well, I think that's what he can do pretty well is talk.
Talk radio, yeah.
It's like you and me.
Yeah.
Just love to talk.
Yeah, and another story about him. When he was working in the Partridge Family, his father abused him. From what I heard, and he used to be close with Shirley Jones and her kids. Yeah. When they were little, and they used to play together.
The man that was on there, who he was the agent, Reuben. He was played by a guy called Dave Madden, and he was a comedian. He was in a very good comedian. He used to be on Laugh-In.
Yeah.
Before, he left Laugh-In, which was like the most popular show to be on this show, which they didn't know it was going to be a good family playing rock and roll. Turned out to be even a bigger hit, than Laugh-In, at least at the time, for a while. And it was I could talk at length about that. And he would spend a lot of time. Danny would spend a lot of time with that guy because he was sort of a surrogate father to him. Because his real father, I think he came from a broken home, sadly, and he was. I don't know how abused he was, but he, I think it's an Italian family yelling and, I come from if you come from a Jewish or an Irish or an Italian family, there's a lot of yelling.
Yeah.
You're kind of used to it.
Yeah.
So there's probably a lot of verbal abuse. I don't know about any physical abuse. He claims there might have been, but nevertheless, he did not want to go home on the weekends when they,
That's what I was trying to tell you. He was abused by his father.
Yeah, isn't it awful?
And he didn't want to go back, and he wanted to play with Shirley Jones's kids at the time.
Sean.
Yes.
And David, of course. And that's a good point you make, because I have to tell people all the time that your family, where you live, is let me tell you how cruel the world is out there.
Yeah?
It's a miserable place. It's dangerous out there. There are people wanting to rob you at the very least, if not kill you. And not everybody, but there might. All you need is one person to cause trouble.
Yeah.
So I tell if you're living in a house with people, be it a spouse or a parent, or even sometimes in case of parents, their own kids,
Right.
and that they're violent, like having a wild animal in the house.
Right.
It is always remember that like I said, it's a cruel world out there, and when you come home, everything's safe. Now, if this is cruel inside as it is outside, or even more cruel, then you might as well be living outside, living out in the street or something. So, leaving it in your car, traveling the country. I mean, you're not. They say, well, you don't want to take that risk. The risk is living in my house. It's so dangerous. So I always tell people, figure it out and get away from physical harm. That's you don't want to be.
Right.
Because I can be honest with you, I'm kind of a lifetime of people yelling at me.
Right.
Like I just said earlier, but I'm also if you look back on it, I was yelling back at them too. So I don't yell back as much as I used to though.
Yeah.
Because I don't really hang around people that are so abrasive.
Right.
But when you're in school, when you're growing up, like I said, everyone's an adversary. So so I tell people you gotta I was actually maybe I didn't have as many friends as I do now, but maybe there was an edge to me that I should have, that I wish I still had.
Right.
Now I'm just this man for all seasons now.
Right.
But like I said, try to stay. If there's trouble, do something about it. I've been in situations where I just couldn't wait to get out of get out of the house. People were yelling.
My grandfather, he used to do a lot of screaming and yelling.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't even let me yell back because
no back talk.
No back talk.
Yeah, I used to hear. You don't hear that. I used to hear the craziest thing. No back talk.
But I can do anything I want. I can yell back because I'm an adult now. So
you're an adult, yeah. What happened to your grandfather?
He passed away in 2009.
Well, there you go.
So
yeah. Someone should have given him a good talking to before 2009. I you know what I used to hear all the time? Whenever somebody would yell at me, they would tell me to do something, or tell me I was wrong or something. I said, what? Do? And then they'd say, what's the matter? Can't you understand English? Can't you understand it? Can't you speak English? I said, what? Of course But that almost showed almost a disdain for immigrants as well as. But these were like people I knew that were saying this to me. Don't you understand English? So what else got to tell you about the Partridge Family? Oh, the first record. I don't know if do you have? We show records.
I have one.
You have a Partridge Family record, yeah. And I remember everyone bought this record.
Oh.
And had their first 10 hits on there, or first 10 songs on there.
Oh.
And a TV show is a wonderful place to promote a record because every week you sing a song from the record.
Yeah.
So I had I didn't buy the record because it was like $5. It's too expensive.
What?
We can't spend $5 on an LP. My parents were used to spending like 50 cents to $1 on a record.
Oh, yeah.
Bargain bin.
Yeah.
Not even the bargain bin. It was just 50. They said it's as good. So anyway, it's as good as any other record.
Right.
But I did have the 45 of "I Think I Love You."
Oh yeah.
And that was and that was the first record I ever bought.
Yeah,
it was less than $1. Yeah.
Yeah, I have their greatest hits album.
Yes.
And I think it was even one of my mom's records or my dad's records. I'm not sure, but.
What, your parents like the Partridge Family?
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad, mom, they like Jerry Vale, who never appeared on the Partridge Family, which is strange.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you something neat about the Partridge Family. I was always like in tune to show business and stuff. I said, "Oh look, the guy from Dragnet, Harry Morgan, was on a couple episodes." Yeah. And then I think I saw a guy, Richard Pryor, who I'd never seen before. He made an appearance on Lou Gossett from Oscar and Gentleman makes an appearance, same episode.
Yeah.
And then I think there's 2 episodes, but I remember the first episode where they meet their grandfather.
Oh.
And they make a big fuss about this guy. Hey, how he taught the mother how to sing, and then they sing, and then he sings with the Partridge Family at the end, and then they do a song from the olden days that he used to know called "Bye Bye Blackbird," and he sang. Did you see that episode?
I don't think I've seen that one.
Okay, and then it was so popular this episode. He comes back the next year. The show was only on for like 4 years, I think, and it was pretty much running out of gas by the.
I think it ended around when the Brady Bunch ended.
Yeah.
Too.
So this guy who played their grandfather,
right?
I found out years later, when I saw it again in the reruns and everything, was Ray Bolger.
Oh wow!
You know who Ray Bolger is?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
He played the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz.
I remember
if
now.
I only had a brain. So I was oh that's the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz. That's why they're making such a big fuss. I'd make a big fuss about him if I saw the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz. The actor playing him anyway. Good dancer.
So he played the grandfather, right?
He played the grandfather on just 2 episodes, but but they're good. They're worth a look because it's Ray Bolger.
Oh, I may have to watch that episode.
Oh yeah, he had a hit song other than the songs in The Wizard of Oz. He had a song called "Once in Love with Amy." It was from the show called "Where's Charlie," which was a musical version of Charlie's Aunt.
Oh.
And Ray Bolger has a song called "Once in Love with Amy, Always in Love with Amy." You could find it on YouTube. Now, what's kind of neat about this song is every time I meet a woman named Amy, like a woman in the store, a waitress or something, I go, "Once in love with Amy, always in love with Amy." And then about half of them will say, "My grandfather used to sing that to me all the time." and so every once in a while they're mad about it. Because they've heard the song too many times. Is there other songs about Amy? But that's the most popular one. In fact, one girl told me that she used to go to the tea room at Tallheimer, Miller Road's tea room.
Roads, yes.
And Eddie Weaver, the famous organist, was in Richmond, would play the piano there during lunchtime, and he was a friend of their parents. So when the mother and the daughter would come in, he'd start playing "Once in Love with," as almost like an entrance song. I need an entrance song. There's no songs about a lot of songs about Mary.
Yeah.
Mary, Mary.
Just a jolly holiday with Mary.
That's right. That's it. Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
That's one of them I know.
And then there's the George M. Cohan song. It was Mary, Mary.
Oh yeah, I think my grandfather.
As any name can be.
My grandfather used to sing that.
There you go. Grandfather, another grandfather. See, same answer, different woman, same answer. Story of my life. Okay. What else can I tell you? I could talk at length about the Partridge Family. Oh, there was no video no like home video. So if you missed the Partridge Family, you'd have to wait till the summer before you'd see the rerun of it, and all your friends would be talking about it. So on Friday nights on ABC, and I remember like sometimes we'd have to go to the store, and like to Masons or JM Fields or Southside Plaza or something, and we would. And it says, well, they have a TV department. Why don't you watch it there? I said, yeah, it's a great idea. That's a great idea. So there'd be like 10 TV sets, and maybe I'll have sports on them, but one of them would have the Partridge Family. And you know which one was the one with the Partridge Family? The one that had all the kids around it because their parents took them to the store that day, too. And they wanted to watch the Partridge Family. So that's in the day we would sit on the floor and watch on television. And of course, hey, we're trying to sell televisions here. Hey, we're trying to watch. Our parents are spending a lot of money in this store. All those stores are out of business now. They didn't spend enough money. There was a boy on the Partridge Family. His name was Chris.
Yeah,
he was the drummer.
Yes.
And he was played by a kid named
There were two different boys.
Exactly.
That played Chris.
The first one
I was going to tell you about that one too.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Tell us.
Yes. there was another boy that played it like when they first started. He was kind of skinny, and then I think another
black
little
hair,
boy,
Jewish kid.
Yeah, and then another little boy who had blonde hair.
Yeah, his name was Brian Forster. Was the second kid.
I heard one of them didn't get along with the Partridge Family or something.
That was the first one.
Yeah, I guess that's probably.
They liked the second one.
Yeah.
The first one supposedly was a really big brat.
Oh wow.
And never really liked being on the show. I mean, I think his parents tried to get him, and then they said that his father was moving. His family was moving out back. It was filmed in California, and it was moving back east to. But then years later, it came out that they fired the kid. And not only did they fire the kid, pretty much the main people involved in the show couldn't get along with him, and Danny and the mother and
yeah, I heard Danny had trouble with them too.
Well, yeah, and so they replaced him with this kid, a very good, better actor actually, called Brian Force with blonde hair. He looked more like Tracy, and he they loved it. I mean, everyone said, "Well, how'd they switch kids like that?"
Yeah.
They should have explained it better. Like he got in a train wreck or something, and had to get all this extensive plastic surgery or something. That'd be hilarious. But they just replaced him and made no explanation. Not only did they make no explanation, I think they probably would have made an explanation, except one major thing happened, or one major thing didn't happen, and that was ABC, the network who put it on, did not receive the first letter of protest that they replaced that kid.
Wow.
In other words, who cares? Bring out that he wasn't all that important to the show anyway.
I didn't know this other the older boy was Jewish.
Well, I mean, the actor was.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Danny was Italian, and Shirley Jones and David Cassidy, I guess, were Irish Catholics. She eventually married. She was already divorced from. No, maybe not. I don't think she was divorced from at the time Jack Cassidy, his father.
Oh.
He was a very good actor. You see him in a lot of stuff like Columbo. He's on a lot of Columbo.
Yeah.
Jack, who's
I
his
think
biological.
I saw him on Columbo.
He was always on talk shows. He's a very funny man, and then a good actor. And then he died. He smoked a lot, and he smoked in bed, and his house burned down. But I mean, that's how he died. They were already divorced. She was married. Then Shirley Jones, who's still alive, married a comedian, Jewish guy, Marty Ingalls, and he was sort of like out of show business as a comedian at that point, and became like an agent or a promoter of and they used to, and Marty Ingalls and Shirley Jones. They would appear, and no one understood why this kind of New York kind of gruff guy was she fell in love with, and she gave an interview. Why did you marry that guy? You were married to him for like 30 years after that, and he died. He said, he always made me laugh. That's very important. You gotta stick with people who make you laugh.
That's
right. So that's okay. And Susan Day.
Yes.
Susan Day had a crush the whole time
on David Cassidy.
I think throughout the whole show,
I heard about that too.
They didn't go out on a date. I don't even think it was all that romantic a date until after the show was over. She was very young. He was older than he looked, but she was pretty much that age, 16, 17, 18 years old. Hasn't lived her life, and still, So she, and it evidently really gnawed at her, literally, because she developed an eating disorder. And if you see certain episodes of that show, they put on a lot of clothes on her because her clothes are basically hanging on her. She was anorexic, which is very upsetting. I mean, these were things that people did not pay attention to in those days. We just thought, they're just naturally skinny. No, they're not naturally skinny. Some people have a eating disorder.
Right.
And she was one of them, yeah. And and then Susan Day, probably the best career, post-Partridge career than any of them, because you never really, Danny and other than talk show appearances and stuff, you never really saw the others on shows after that.
Right.
But But Susan Day, tell us about Susan Day. What she did after the Partridge Family.
She years later, she went to do LA Law.
Yes.
Which she made it really big.
Yeah.
Back in the late 80s and 90s.
She hosted. I remember she hosted Saturday Night Live, and they did a whole skit with with the Partridges and the Partridges meet the Brady Bunch.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that little.
With the cast all playing.
I saw something.
And she played. Part. She wore at that point. She wore the long wig and the costume. She looked. She hadn't changed as Lori.
Yeah.
I remember Dana Carvey. I think played. If I remember, Dana Carvey played. Keith.
Oh, okay.
But then they also had the Brady Bunch on there, and the Brady Bunch, and they were trying to. There were two different types of families you never saw on TV before that show in a big way. The Partridge Family was a fatherless, widowed family. The mother was trying to get through, trying to make ends meet by herself.
Yeah.
And then the Brady Bunch was sort of was another different type of family. Was two widowed or two divorced people.
Yeah, they're both widowed.
With kids, marrying and having a blended family.
Yeah.
Now, what was wild about that? Maybe not widowed so much, but blended families were becoming.
Right.
Very, the norm at that point, or it was, more so than it used to be.
Yeah.
It used to be when people got married, they hated each other, but they stayed married. which is what the vows say. You stay married. The divorce wasn't that prevalent, and at least with divorce, you still have two parents and financially could probably help out the kid.
Right.
But once a parent dies, certainly in those days, a lot of times in case if the man was the breadwinner, the woman, the mother had to go out and work, and she probably didn't have any utilize her skills that well to get a job. Thank God that has changed. Thanks to ERA. Not actually ERA has never passed, but thanks to women's rights and everything, and women making a bigger deal about things. Yeah, right. People think about the good old days, but the good old days wasn't 100% good old.
Right.
I mean, when your father was out of the picture, your mother was high and dry.
Yeah.
That happens. That can still happen. Get a divorce. 40-year-old mother with teenage kids doesn't know what to do. Yeah, and I remember seeing Susan Day in a movie, First Love or something, and with Billy Cat, and she's always a good actress. I always liked Susan Day. I didn't care for her so much in the Partridge Family. I was too little. I really appreciate. Danny was sort of a kid I would like, and then Keith had talent, and do you know that Keith David Cassidy had a woman stunt double because he was very feminine looking. Go ahead and draw.
I always liked Tracy.
You like Tracy?
Yeah, because she's cute, she's adorable, and plus she's kind of like me in a way.
Yeah, you're like Tracy.
Yeah, because
you're the grown-up Tracy Partridge.
Yeah.
You played a tambourine like her?
Yeah.
She's my favorite tambourine player.
Yeah.
Tracy, but I have to admit, and the little boy Chris, I don't remember one funny thing any of them ever said. Now, Danny was a regular joke machine.
I like Danny, too. He was funny.
Danny
and
was
Tracy
something.
are both my favorites.
Danny was something else. Danny, I mean, I think the Partridge Family...
I like when they were in scenes together. It was so cute.
Danny would have been... I think you always remember something about TV, how TV works and stuff. Or movies or anything for that matter. When you have, like, normal type of people, it's fine for 20 minutes, and then you have to move on from there.
Yeah.
You always have to have something different, a different sort of a catch or something.
Right.
And the Partridge Family was like a typical family show, like Father's Knows Best or something. But then they had that one kid that just made it all different. Good Times had that one guy, JJ. Family Ties had Michael Fox.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, these are people that they never planned to be the star, but as a result, they sucked all the attention towards them whenever they walked on the set. You know, whenever you're watching in front of the camera.
Right.
Yeah.
I always like JJ a Good Time.
Oh well, JJ was.
He was hilarious.
JJ was. It's important to note. I've seen a lot of documentaries about Good Times. Was that Good Times was planned as just a show about poor African American people in the projects in Chicago and all, and you know, a few jokes and a few.
Yeah.
But then, and the parents were supposed to be the stars.
Right.
John Amos and Florida. Esther Roll.
Yes.
And then they said, well, there's not going to be a show where with stereotypical black people acting foolish. And then JJ came and made it a funnier show, made it a more exciting show, made it a show you wanted to watch.
Yeah.
But the two parents wound up quitting, or in the case of John Amos, I think fired because he was complaining too much that he was getting all the attention. JJ, yeah, but he's the funny one, you know.
Yeah.
He says, I didn't sign up for this type of show. He goes, well, that's the show we got now.
Yeah, sorry.
With JJ.
Too bad, sorry.
And the Partridge Family had the Danny.
Yeah.
I mean, the bright red hair brought all the, you know. When he walked onto the set, all eyes were on him.
Yeah.
did I ever tell you I actually saw David Cassidy in person?
I don't think you told me.
I'm going to tell you about it. David Cassidy, I'm in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
And I'm just there. I'm there with my father. My father's gambling. My father has no interest in seeing shows, or, you know, he might eat at a buffet, but he's there to gamble. He's there to make money.
Yeah.
You know, and he does quite well. He plays poker, and I gotta tell you a funny story about playing poker. He plays poker, and he now this is how gambling works in Atlantic City, is that, you know, when you play blackjack or when you play slots, you know, it's you against the house, and the house always wins.
Yeah.
You might win a few times, but if you're there long enough, you're going to lose all your money. Mm-hmm. Okay, now, it's not that way playing poker. You're playing against the other people playing poker, all right?
Yes.
Does the house win? The house gets something like 18% of the take.
Right.
Which means that if you win a lot of money, you know, you could 18% is not that much to give to the house, okay? But they still make their profit. Now, I go see my dad gambling, and he's playing poker, and he's doing so well. He's making, you know, some good money, a few $100. Then he says, "Come back later. I'll be at the blackjack tables, and we can go to lunch, buffet. The more you gamble, ask the dealer and stuff. They'll give you a free money and free room, free everything, tickets to shows. They keep you in the hotel, you know, because the more they don't want you to take your winnings and go to the next door to the hotel and lose it at that casino. So we're about to go to the buffet, and he goes, "Let me play a few more hands of blackjack." So I'm there watching him playing blackjack, and he loses something like almost $100 on each hand.
Oh, wow.
And he played like 3 hands. I said, "Listen, I'm going to go over there. This is too much for me to watch." He goes, and then of course he said, "I broke even. It's all right. That's all right. I won plenty earlier." I said to my dad, "Dad, you're the, you know, when you play poker like Michael Jordan plays basketball. But when you play blackjack like Michael Jordan plays baseball." So anyway, he's just gambling. Okay, so I see, you know, I'm going to the hotels, and then is there any? I only want to see celebrities when I go to Broadway, or when I go to Las Vegas, or when I go to Atlantic City, and so the biggest celebrity that was playing that night was David Cassidy.
Wow,
this is like what would this be? I guess in 1968 or 69 he was famous. So this would be probably 2010 or something.
Oh, wow.
And so this was 40 years after he was famous. And he did a very good show. He came out, still looked good. I understand maybe a year or two after that he wasn't doing too well. He had dementia, and he has since passed away. But anyway, David Cassidy was... I go see him, and it's a very entertaining show. He sings all the Partridge Family hits. He had actually a hit without the Partridge Family called Cherish.
Oh, wow.
Cherish by the Association.
Yeah.
And no one down to think that I could hold you. You know, that's all. He sang those. He sang songs from the Partridge Family and everything. The last song he sang was "I Think I Love You," which was so great. Wow. And he sang it like a little different than he would sing it the Partridge Family. But then by the end, he was singing it like the Partridge Family.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful show. And I took a few pictures. I never got to meet him, but it was sort of like the joke where half the people there did not want to be there. Uh-huh. I was there to see David Cassidy, but all these women brought their husbands or boyfriends. They're all sitting watching David Cassidy. I didn't like this guy 40 years ago. I don't like him now. They were jealous of him. That's why they didn't like him. But I saw one guy getting all this attention from his girlfriend or his wife. They must have been, I guess, probably 50 years old. Mm-hmm. And she said, "I have been waiting 40 years to see that man, and tonight you made it all possible. You are the most wonderful man in the world. I love you so much." And she started hugging and kissing him, and I said, "Oh, there's a lucky man." He made a woman's dreams come true 40 years after the fact. So I said, well, it was worth it. It was worth to see David Cassidy just to see that moment.
Okay.
David Cassidy, I heard that he produced a show in Atlantic City, where they would get lookalikes like Elvis or like a guy who looks like James. I mean, they would actually have people, not so much like Rich Little or something, but people wearing the costumes, and they would sing like about 5 or 6 songs, and then a new celebrity would come out, and he produced it. And he would, if he were in town, he would make a surprise guest appearance as Bobby Darin and sing about 5 or 6 Bobby Darin songs. And I thought, yeah, he would play a good Bobby Darin in the day. Bobby Darin is probably my favorite singer. And Bobby Darin, what I really liked about Bobby Darin, and David Cassidy used to do this too, when he played Bobby Darin, was he didn't just, now here's Bobby Darin, you would expect him to walk out on stage. He'd be at the other end of the auditorium walking through the aisles and shaking hands while singing, and then get up on the stage and do the show. Wow. I always thought that's the coolest thing. When we were in plays, anytime I get to enter from the side doors or from the down the aisle, I always feel that's more exciting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Because now I'm with the people.
Yeah. It's like you're doing the Soul Train line.
The Soul Train, it's just, I mean, because most of the time you're just walking off the stage and on the stage, have to know your cues and everything. So I was very excited. He had shorter hair at that point. David Cassidy and Dave. What else can I say about David Cassidy? I never saw him in a movie. I've never seen really any of them except for Shirley Jones. Shirley Jones, of course, was in the movie Oklahoma. She won the Oscar for Elmer Gantry's a serious part. Yeah. And she's every once in a while you see her on a show, and she still looks pretty good. She hasn't really changed all that much, considering she's in her, I think, late 80s. Yeah. Yeah. And then Partridge Family. Yeah. So every once in a while, everyone knows the song "I Think I Love You." Mm-hmm. I remember the first time I heard it that wasn't on the show was I was in a carpool. I'm not kidding. I'm like 8 or 9 years old, and we're all just listening to the radio that the mother of the kid driving is listening to, and all of a sudden you hear the song "I Think I Love You, I Think I Love You," and then I said, and the kids were kind of oblivious to it all, and I said, "Hey, that's a song on the Partridge Family," and they said, "Yeah, it is. Turn it louder, Mom." We all started saying, "I think I love you." I remember, if you want to get everyone like of a certain age happy and excited, doing karaoke do that song because everybody knows that song. And not only does everyone know that song, everyone sings along to that song. So it's great. Sometimes when I do I Think I Love You, the song, I always like pretend I don't know the song. This morning I woke up with this feeling. And then it goes, and then it gets, hey, I think I love you. So what am I
so afraid of?
Afraid that I'm not sure of. A love there is no cure for. Oh yeah, it's such a wonderful song. Yeah, and I remember hearing, I think Andy Williams singing on his show. I said, "What's he singing this song?" It's a David Cassidy song. Those days you get very upset when someone sings a song you know.
Oh yeah,
but now, what does it matter? It's a good song. Everyone should sing the song.
I remember at one point I used to get so upset with other people singing other people's songs.
Yeah,
because it's not the same, as the original song.
I know. But then karaoke. But then what's weird is that.
But now I'm kind of used to it. So
when you go to see a band in a restaurant, you kind of want them to sing songs you know.
Right.
Even if it's not as good as I remember once listening on the radio, and a guy, they're playing a song and it started skipping. Mm-hmm. And then the guy says, "We're going to play this again." So he started over and played it again, and it started skipping. We'll find something else to play. And I was like surprised that said, my dad was driving, and I said, "That guy's playing a record?" He says, "Yeah. You didn't know that was a record on the radio?" He says, "No, I thought the real band was playing the song on the radio live." He says, "No, they can't do that." And the reason why I felt that way was there are movies like from the 1930s or Shirley Temple movies and stuff like that. Usually Shirley Temple movies, where they actually have a whole orchestra and a guy on a radio, an announcer on the radio. And now we're going to hear the dulcet tones of of Nelson Eddy and Jeanette MacDonald. And you would think that they were. I thought that was what radio was like when I was like really little. Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought, I think I told you something similar to that one time about They're Coming to Take Me Away.
Oh, I know that song. It was by Napoleon III, and it was a weird song. He only had the one hit, and it's there's no other song like it. And tell us about it. Yeah.
Yes, I don't know if I told you this before, but I might have told you this moons ago.
Yeah.
But I want to tell y'all again. The other side, the B side, plays backwards.
Oh, the same song backwards?
Yes. My dad had the little 45 record when he was younger.
Yeah.
And, the A side's the right side. And then if you flip it to the other side, it plays backwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You didn't remember that song?
No, I remember the song, but I never owned the 45.
Yeah.
Whenever I bought a 45, and I still have all my 45s.
Yeah.
Is that I'd always play I'd be so excited. There's nothing more exciting than bringing home a 45 and listening to it in my day. And you'd play it, and then I'd always say, "Okay, we're going to play the B side now. Be patient. It's only about 3 minutes. This may be the last time we ever hear the B side."
Yeah.
We may not like it, but it doesn't matter if we don't like it, because we're never going to play it again.
Yeah.
The A side is the song we're going to continue playing. And of course, you'd play the B side. It's all right. Sometimes it might be good. But then you'd play the A side and just play it and play it and play it and play it. And sometimes you just never got tired, at least for a whole week of playing that song. Yeah, you knew all the lyrics to it and everything. Yeah.
And I also heard something about it, someone was playing it on the jukebox at a bar.
Yeah.
This was like years ago.
Yeah.
And they played the backwards B side. Or something. I have to read it again, but I've heard something that somebody was playing it at a bar, and they were playing the backwards side.
Oh man!
I think that's how all that started, probably.
Yeah, there was a belief that a lot of people thought there was satanic messages. What nonsense!
Yeah.
That there were satanic messages in certain songs, and if you play them backwards. You would hear like praise Satan or something, and all this nonsense. And I remember And a lot of bands actually bought into. I mean, a lot of heavy metal bands. I think like Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah, I like Blue Oyster.
And then there was I think Kiss.
Oh, I like Kiss too.
I think Kiss means Knights in Satan's Service or something. I mean, they pretty much told you right there, right then and there. This is what we're all about. But then there was even, but I mean, it even went to. I think it all probably got started with the Beatles.
Oh yeah,
the Beatles have a song called "Strawberry Fields Forever."
Yes, I remember hearing about that.
It's on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I don't know, but I know the song quite well, and it begins with whoop 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 doo 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 doo, and that part is actually whatever they were playing backwards. They played it backwards. They played it out of sequence, and then when they played it, it sounded the normal musical way it should have. But people got freaked out, and of course, Strawberry Fields, nobody knows what the song's about. And then at the end, they usually cut it off about right when the last vocal hit, and then on radio. But if you actually have the record, it keeps going and going and going, and it has this. I think sort of a return to what happened at the beginning, and then you actually hear someone say, "I buried Paul," but actually, I think it was John Lennon is actually saying cranberry sauce or something.
Okay.
Because what these people who think that Paul is dead and they're buying in all this stuff, they're that's all nonsense, And he said it was all nonsense.
I think I heard another Beatles song that was kind of back that.
Yeah. And that's a good point you're going to make, because that, I think, came first. And then there was an album after that called the White Album. And the White Album actually has like a whole song that's just backwards. And it's one of those songs that when you're listening to Beatles stuff, you kind of, unless you're really drugged out of your mind, you want to go on to the next song. Because it's not really an entertaining song, because everyone singing. The idea that stuff is kind of entertaining makes no sense at all. I remember there was a show, Twin Peaks, and there was this dream sequence with a magical dwarf, and what they did was, it was one of the weirdest things they ever did. They actually had the dwarf speak his lines backwards, and then when they played it, it sounded like, "Well, how are you doing today?" It was just the weirdest thing. Up to that point, it was the weirdest thing ever on television, was that Twin Peaks thing.
Right.
And, oh man. So when you were growing up, did you ask for any, from Santa Claus or from your parents or something? Did you ask for any, like, weird gifts and stuff? Were mainly records? Is that what they bought you?
Yeah, some of them. Some of them were mostly Barbie dolls and all that. And
were you one of those girls that wanted clothes? I never wanted clothes.
No, me neither. No.
The only clothes I ever asked for that I got was Sears had this. I was a New York Giants fan. It used to be. No, it's still there. And they had this cool. They used to sell all this weird New York NFL football stuff, like sheets and pillowcases and lampshades and curtains and everything. And I couldn't get all that stuff, because actually in this day it was very expensive. But they did have this cool sweatshirt with the logo of the Giants, and it had blue. It was a sweatshirt, had blue sleeves. I must have wore it out. When I got it for Christmas, Santa Claus brought it for me, and that was the only toy. But I was actually didn't really ask for too much. I never asked for clothes. Clothes were now they're very important to me, but at the time they weren't important to me at all.
Yeah.
And I was watching. I tell you a weird time I had with Santa. Oh, this is really weird. I'm watching, I think, a movie like Laurel and Hardy or something, and they're, if you've ever seen Laurel and Hardy, they're always being yelled at by somebody or some guy in authority and everything. And this guy had a funny haircut or something, and he got hit on the side of the head, and his wig fell off, and he had a bald head under it. Now, in those days, when I was watching this, I must have been like 7 or 8 years old, and I used to get all these. I used to get all these like crew cuts
Oh yeah.
This is during the time of the Beatles. I wanted long hair. You to get these flat tops. Look like a California serial killer. Whatever they call these guys. Oh yeah, skinhead. Oh, they were the worst. You see my childhood pictures. They're miserable. I asked my mom, why did you give me those haircuts? She goes, because you wouldn't let us wash your hair in the bathtub. You wouldn't let us do a lot of stuff, so we had to keep it short so you wouldn't get scabies or something. So that's not. I thought. Listen. If you let my hair grow long, I would have let you tend to it. So anyway, I see the guy's hair fall off and put it back on, and I said to my dad, "What's that?" He said, "That's a wig." So what's a wig? He said, I think he said it was a toupee. I said, what's that? He goes, well, a toupee is like a wig. A wig is a fake hair that you can wear when you don't like your hairstyle.
Right.
And I said, how long has these been? Is this a new invention? He goes, no, we've always had wigs.
Mm.
I said, why don't I have a wig?
Wow.
I'm getting these awful haircuts. I want a wig. Can you imagine a 7-year-old kid with a wig?
Yeah.
Well, I could. So I go to see Santa Claus like maybe a few weeks later.
Yeah.
I said, what would you like, little boy? I said, a wig. So my dad just grabbed me off of Santa's lap and said, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Just get him a truck or something. I don't care. A wig. So I mean, oh man, I get the weirdest haircuts. I always want. They say, I was wearing hats all the time. You always had very nice hair. What was your hair like growing up?
It was long and straight.
Yeah, blonde and
blonde.
Always a blonde. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I love that.
I dyed my hair a couple times, 10 years ago.
Purple hair, yeah, pink hair.
I dyed once red and once black.
Black. Oh wow.
Yeah, but it didn't last very long though.
I was always meaning to.
But I was born a blonde.
You're
I'm
born
a
and you
natural
still are.
blonde,
Yeah.
So.
Like it or not, it's my real color.
Yeah.
It's lighter, obviously, than it used to be. I mean, I had black hair.
Oh.
Jet black hair, and then I would put on wigs in school, for the for plays and stuff. Oh, kind of look nice, like myself with blonde hair and stuff. But then, not so much now, but I had these black eyebrows, which always gives you away. Like Madonna with the blonde hair and the black eyebrows.
Yeah.
That's the real. If you want to see the real color, you look at the eyebrows. It's very hard to color your eyebrows. It's very hard to color your facial hair, and I've seen guys try to put the hair from hair for men or whatever it is in their beard because a lot of times you have black hair on top, which is fine, but then your beard is all white. So, like Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson, for example, probably dyes his hair because he's 85 years old and he still has bright red hair, but his beard is white, so it kind of tells you probably what the rest of his hair looks like.
Yeah.
So, in fact, somebody's I'm very vain and very worried about my appearance. So it said, well, do you have any advice? And one dresser said, if you have any white in your beard, shave your beard. So that's a good idea. I think. But I tell you what's good though. I shave my face every day, and then I use the straight razor, and then when I take the stuff, I still see black whiskers in the soap or something. So okay, I guess I still have black hair.
Yeah.
It's actually brown hair.
Yeah.
I was on a show. Well, this is a funny story. My sister Kelly, she was watching a show. I used to be on the Gorgeous George show, and she was noticing my hair. And then, a few days later, she sees me in person. I think it was Thanksgiving, and she was looking at my hair. She goes, "Your hair is not really black; it's dark brown." I said, "Yeah." I'm not really paying attention to what she said. And then she says, and I noticed there's some red in it too. I said, you want to know something? I was born a redhead. And I even had freckles as a kid. But my hair turned pretty dark before I was 4. Okay? She says, you also have some gray in it too. I said, hey, all right. Stop looking at my hair. Why are you looking at my hair? And she... And she said, well, we were watching you on the other show a couple of days ago, and we were pretty sure you put the shoe polish to your hair, and evidently you don't. I said, if I put the shoe polish to my hair, it would look a hell of a lot better than this. They used to say about Ronald Reagan that he was the oldest man. I used to joke that Ronald Reagan, Mike Wallace, and me were the 3 oldest men that still have dark hair. But now they're gone, so now I'm the oldest man.
Right.
Naturally dark hair.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking of doing if it turns all gray? Not making it black again. But if I'm going to dye it, turn it blonde.
Yeah.
Like Donald Trump does.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump probably has, in reality, has white hair.
Yeah.
But he colors it yellow, blonde.
Yeah.
And it probably is a better look than if he had black hair at an old age. And we don't have Donald Trump anymore as president. I was kind of worried that the first blonde president. So it's not what we're used to. So what else? Let's see. I understand we were talking about that. We talked so much about old time TV and stuff, and
Yes.
and hair,
Yes.
and everything. I got this tie in Paris, and if you want to see a better look at it, it's sort of an Andy Warholish Mona Lisa, which is in Paris.
I like Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa.
Nat King Cole, Mona Lisa.
Yeah. You go to see Mona Lisa at the Louvre, and it's it's behind glass. Everyone's in front of it. Everyone's taking a picture of it. You can't use flash, but it's so you don't get really close to the Mona Lisa, and you wonder when you are so far from it. Yeah, I think you're no closer than probably 3 or 4 feet from it. Once they have it behind the glass and everything, it's most famous. I think it's painted on wood. It's not painted on canvas. I think I'm not sure, but they don't really. They said they don't really want people to study it unless you're an art scholar because it may not be the real Mona Lisa. It's been stolen and retrieved.
Oh, wow.
It could be very well be a fake. If a guy could paint it that well, he could also someone else could fake it that well.
Yeah.
There's have you seen a lot of great art?
I saw some Picasso and
Where'd you see the Picasso?
they had an exhibit thing at the Virginia Museum.
That is so good. I saw that. I saw that exhibit. It is so good. It was a Picasso exhibit. This is how. They don't charge at the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts to see their typical collection, which is still great.
Yeah,
all that modern art there
yeah.
and everything. When they opened the new wing with all the modern art,
Yeah.
Andy Warhol himself came to the opening. To the ribbon cutting and everything. And then, but they have these traveling shows that are so good, and I try to see them when I can. I saw the Picasso, I saw the Chihuly crystal, which was great, and they also had Hollywood costumes.
Oh yeah.
And all the, and I said, this is a real ripoff, and I said, why? He goes, I thought for the price of admission was like $15 or $20. They let you wear the costumes.
What?
And then somebody said, yeah, for this amount of money, I want to wear the ruby slippers. I wanted to wear Humphrey Bogart. I wanted to wear Humphrey Bogart's tuxedo in Casablanca and the ruby slippers.
I remember one time I liked that there was a statue that was there. It was like the golden rabbit.
Yes.
And it had.
Oh yeah.
It felt like it was leaping.
Yes.
I have a picture of with one of my friends.
Yeah.
We all went together to the museum on my birthday weekend.
Yeah.
It was about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and I remember at the Virginia Museum
I forgot what it was for.
Do you remember? I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember the mummy?
Yeah.
At the Virginia Museum?
Yes.
And we were so excited when we saw the mummy.
Oh yeah.
I remember one kid was so excited he wrote a little paper. We had on our field trip to the Virginia Museum and saw the Egyptian antiquities and it says, and seeing the mummy was very exciting. I had never seen a real live dead person before. Can you imagine a person being buried like, I don't know, like 6,000 years ago and then and mummified, and then becoming an object of humor to a bunch of elementary school kids. Elementary school kids think it's funny, you know. I remember going up to the mummy and trying to do a ventriloquism act when no one was looking. He goes, help me out, help me out, help me out. What? I think I heard the mummy talking. Get me out of these bandages. Kevin? They're always, whenever there was trouble, Kevin? Okay,
get over here now.
Yeah, get over here.
Everybody.
If it was like mean-spirited or anything, it was always someone else's fault. But if it was funny, like a ventriloquism act with a mummy, they know it's Kevin. It's only Kevin that would do that. Anyway, thank you for this wonderful evening together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, glad we had this time together.
Always.
Okay, so it's good to see that. Stay warm, everybody. Wash your hands. Stay healthy. Take it away.
Yes, I just
Mary.
want to wish you all a great evening and thank you all for tuning in. God bless you all.
We'll see you again next week. Same Merry time.
On the same station.
Same Merry time channel. We're not talking about Merry time what the ships go on.
I love you all, and may take care of yourselves. God bless you all.